Good film, bad film. Welcome to the TMR podcast. We're back again this week, and this week we're reviewing the Suicide Squad. That's right, 5 years on after the first Suicide Squad. Here we are at the second attempt, DC's second attempt, more say, at redemption for the Suicide Squad. So, what was it overall? I think it was released a week ago in the UK and various other countries. And for us here in Thailand, all cinemas are closed. but we had to settle for, HBO Max. So here we are now with the Suicide Squad. And yeah, reviews have been coming in for the past week and they've been really impressing. And, there's a lot of hype surrounding this film prior to its release. So, what did I think of the Suicide Squad? Let me introduce to you the cast and crew first of all. So, this film is directed by James Gunn. You might know him from Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2. And it stars Idris Elba, John Cena, trying to think on the top of my head, Margot Robbie, of course, and a few others that you might see in here. Some are very surprising because they're pretty big celebrities, and I wouldn't say anything until you watch it, I guess. So basically, the plot revolves around the government trying to send their most dangerous supervillains in the world to Corto Maltese, which is basically a fictional island, armed with high-tech weapons and an enemy from outer space called Project Starfish. Okay, I'm actually indifferent with DC because, hear me out, I love DC comics. I grew up with the Batman, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Superman stuff. It's always been, I've always been a comic book geek, and back in the day, they didn't have this whole war between DC and Marvel. Until now, I still don't think they do. I think it's just something that the fans fabricate so that there's something to talk about, something to, I guess, argue about per se. But yeah, whenever I see a DC movie do well, I'm always happy because definitely I want to see them do well as Marvel do. But the truth be told, they've been quite indifferent. They've been quite inconsistent in the past few years, per se, ever since their creation back in Man of Steel in 2013. We've had good, bad, good, and then bad, and then good. It's very inconsistent overall. So, okay, with this one, I sort of feel, to quote Thanos, he says he used the stones to destroy the stones. In DC's case, I guess he used Marvel to destroy Marvel because they brought in James Gunn, who did Guardians 1 and 2, which is a very big, achievement in itself because Guardians is a very, unknown product in the Marvel universe prior to its actual cinematic release. No one knew who Star-Lord was or Groot was or Gamora was. But James Gunn made it work. He's a talented director, and he made a bunch of, pretty much no-name misfits or outcasts be one of the most, sought-after characters in all of pop culture nowadays, like Baby Groot or Groot, Rocket, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, if anyone can do crazy, seemingly wacky, crazy, stupid outcast characters right, then it's definitely James Gunn. So I guess that they hit the nail right on the spot with that one. This had a good cast, and it did seem like a soft reboot because people were disappointed in the 2016 version of the Suicide Squad. I mean, who wasn't? That was a pretty horrible year for DC overall. Oof. But okay, so good reviews will be coming in, and what did I think of it? Well, I enjoyed it. Look, I didn't love it. I didn't think it was worthy of the 8 or 9 out of 10 hypes that it's been getting over the past week. But I still think it's very entertaining, and but easily one of DC's better projects because for once it doesn't take itself too seriously. So let's get into the positives. First off, I think all the performances, especially the core group, were really good. They had great chemistry as well. Idris Elba, John Cena, Ratcatcher, Polka Dot Man, and also King Shark, definitely one of the highlights. King Shark is actually played by Sylvester Stallone, for people who don't know. This is basically the core group of the Suicide Squad in this film, and I think that all of them had great back and forth. The chemistry between King Shark and Ratcatcher too was really good, and the sort of dynamic, father-daughter dynamic between Bloodsport and Ratcatcher was also really good. Like, I like to see that kind of development in superhero films. As I said before in my Black Widow review, I think the thing that makes superhero movie films feel realistic or feel, relatable is the human side to them. No one watches superhero films because they want to feel entertained. Well, okay, part of them does that. Definitely people are in it to see the jokes, the CGI fights, the epicness of it. But at the same time, a lot of people watch it for the character moments, and in this one, I do feel that quite a few of the character moments, especially when done right, really hit home. The one with Ratcatcher is also is really good, and they managed to make someone like Ratcatcher interesting and relatable, which is props to James Gunn for that. Polka Dot Man as well. Massive props to James Gunn for making Polka Dot Man relatable and sympathetic as well. The stylized fighting of the film was kind of nice. I think that one of the biggest criticisms the first film got was the fact that it was not very colorful because it was set mostly in the nighttime, and it had a lot of CGI that it can hide because most of its fight scenes were at the nighttime. But here we are, very colorful, very stylish, most of it in the day, and very unique tone. With the whole not narration, but title cards per chapter. I did think that was a nice touch. Kind of quirky, kind of wacky. It's just basically something off a comic book, which this movie is, and I liked it. And also, some of the comedy for me really hits, and there is actually quite a sense of dread throughout. Look, in superhero films, like there are films such as Black Widow that that the characters are going to make it out alive. Well, most of them, and it goes for almost a lot of them, except this one. This one felt like anyone could die at any moment. Some more relatable or sympathetic than others, but still there was always a sense of dread and shock throughout. Like, who's gonna die? Who's gonna not make it till the end? Which I thought was refreshing to see in a superhero film. And some of the comedy, as I said, does hit. I really enjoyed the weasel gag, the fact that he couldn't swim, spoiler alert, and a few others. A few other running gags. The whole King Shark thing's adorable. He's easily the cutest character in all of the film. Okay, let's get into the negatives. What I didn't like about the film. So, okay, I know what I just said. I said that the comedy, some of it hits for me, but again, some of it did not hit. Some of it is for shock value, and it just felt awkward or misplaced to me. Spoiler alert that the Polka Dot Man's death was kind of used as a joke, which I did not like, because they kind of made him relatable, and they kind of made him, just this really sympathetic guy, and killed him right after for a comedic sort of dark humor kind of moment. Which, look, if any of the core group was not going to make it to the end, it was definitely him. But at the same time, I felt that it should have been handled more dramatically, or at the very least, given more importance than it was. I also thought that Peter Capaldi as the Thinker was really wasted. He's actually very famous, for those who know Doctor Who. He was the 11th Doctor, I believe, and he is the uncle or father or something of Lewis Capaldi, the singer. Basically, he's in it to spout exposition, and that's pretty much it, and get ripped apart by Starro. That's not much else that he did. And there's another thing that kind of irked me about it. Bloodsport, okay, it's a positive, in a negative, and it's a negative in a positive, because I feel that Bloodsport, who basically is portrayed to perfection by Idris Elba, because he's just more charismatic, really cool, and he just irks of awesomeness. But at the same time, I can't help but draw comparisons to Will Smith's Deadshot that we saw in Suicide Squad back in 2016. They borderline have the exact same backstory, switch and swatch here and there, but pretty much the same, which is which did irk me a bit. I would like to see a bit more backstory given to him, and some more backstory given to John Cena's Peacemakers as well, considering he was one of the more enjoyable parts about the film. Another thing that I wanted to see was a lot of the other characters just fleshed out more overall. We did get a good character moment with Ratcatcher, as I said, Bloodsport to a degree, but aside from that, we aren't given too much development with the characters. One more thing that is also a spoiler alert: Amanda Waller is actually like one of the most, menacing or sadistic characters in the film, because what she's willing to do in order to get what she wants. And you see that at the beginning of the film, you see that in the last film as well. But showing mercy at the end after getting hit by a golf club is very uncharacteristic. And look, I know we haven't seen her redemption or her revenge yet, but it was just really weird to see her forgiving everyone who kind of betrayed her at the end. Very weird indeed. But yeah, overall, to conclude, I did enjoy the film. It's one of the better DC films that really stands out as a different superhero film overall, because it's just wacky, it's just awkward, it's just funny, like awkwardly funny, sadistically funny, if that's a word, if that's a thing. And if James Gunn is gonna make more DC films in the future, then the future is definitely bright for DC. It's already getting more bright for them as we speak, because the Batman's coming out next year, Flash as well, Shazam, and all of that are properties that I do want to see more so than the Wonder Womans or the Aquamans and all that stuff. Also, the only thing that's keeping DC from just the current consistent track is just their overall quality control. If they can nail that, then they're in a good track. And it's also a very bright future for the Suicide Squad as well. A lot of the main cast and crew from this film will be returning in future sequels, and I know that John Cena's Peacemaker has a series of his own next year on Paramount Plus as well, I believe. So yeah, get ready for that. So yeah, I definitely do see the potential here. Again, not as crazily good as the reviews are making out to be, but I did enjoy it still. I'm gonna give it a 7.0 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you're listening on YouTube, please don't forget to like and subscribe. And also, if you're listening on Spotify, then also follow me on there too. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next review.